So about a month ago, I asked the question, is the Samsung Odyssey G9 worth the hype? Well, now I'm gonna answer it. The short answer is yes. It has a 240 Hz refresh rate, the HDR is great, it is a productivity boost! At 49 inches, seriously, I can edit my entire timeline at once. And not just my timeline, past, present, and future timelines, I can all edit at once. I can also have 3 different windows up comfortably for things like streaming, researching videos, multitasking, and that kind of thing. This is the best monitor that I have ever returned. Having a monitor this big is amazing. For example, if you're streaming and you want to have OBS, your Twitch panel, and your game all open at the same time, you can do that. But unfortunately, you kind of have to do it like that because OBS just doesn't know what to do with a 5120 by 1440p panel. You have to kind of adjust the picture where it's in your streaming window and it shows up in OBS, and then hope that you're not cutting some of it off. Or as the highest aspect ratio that I've came across in OBS is like 3840 by 1080 or something like that, which is just not conducive to streaming on this beastly wide monitor. It also has really good picture, HDR, and color. No, it should be brightness, yeah. It also has really good brightness, HDR, and color, along with its 5120 by 1440 resolution, and a nearly professional color accuracy out of the box. This makes it a beast whether you're gaming, you're watching a movie, or you're editing videos, which is mostly of what I do with it. That is, of course, assuming that you can get Windows 10 to play well with the HDR, which historically it has had problems doing in the past. I don't know about Linux or Mac because I never hooked up a Linux PC to this monitor and I don't own a Mac. It does also have a 244 Hz refresh rate like I mentioned before, which does make it awesome for competitive games, if that is your thing. A game on my Raspberry Pi through my desktop. And I'm winning? Okay. Personally, it's not mine, but it's there if you want it. That is, of course, if you have or can get your hands on a graphics card that'll push all of those frames right now, which I don't. Speaking of games, the super ultra-wide form factor makes the games that do actually support it right now...
Sorry.
No biggie. Speaking of games, the super ultra-wide form factor makes the games that support it right now supremely immersive. Subnautica Below Zero is one of the ones that I'm currently playing, and it looks amazing. I, of course, can see a lot more of the monitor than the audience can because of the pitfalls that I mentioned earlier. But the picture combined with the way that it kind of wraps around your field of view is just superb. It does also have some pretty cool creature comforts like a pop-up stand for your headphones that you will never be able to reach. And there is some cable routing on the back. There's like a panel that I showed in my unboxing that goes, the cables go under the panel and then they go through the actual stand of the device to make everything all nice and neat and tidy. But Blaze, I hear you saying, if this monitor is so amazing, why are you getting rid of it? Well, my dear viewer, just because something's amazing doesn't mean it makes sense. For me, it comes down to a number of factors. I love the super ultra wide form factor. Love it. But unfortunately, I do think it's ahead of its time. As of right now, it is a pain in the butt to find a game or an application that supports the 32:9 aspect ratio. That's not to say that there are none, mind you. Just not as many as I would like, and it's not what I would call mainstream yet. It does also lack a Thunderbolt 3 port, which for me right now isn't the end of the world, but for a monitor this expensive and this kitted out, I would have really liked to have seen Thunderbolt so that I could just plug a dock in or something like that. Next is the resolution. It is a 5120 by 1440p panel, which I mentioned earlier, and that's nothing to sneeze at, but at this size, I don't think it's enough. Remember that pixel density is important, so a 27-inch 4K monitor is going to have a much more pixel-dense image than a 49-inch monitor at the same resolution, and I would gladly give up some extra refresh rate if I could get a higher resolution on the monitor. Now, I would have liked to have seen a vertical resolution of 2160 or 2880 or something like that, effectively making this a 5K monitor at 60 or 144 hertz instead of the 1440p at the 244 hertz that it is. And USB-C would have been a really nice addition as well. Instead of that weird, it came with like it was USB 3.0 on one end, and the other end was a FireWire connector for some reason. I don't know. I haven't really seen another cable like that, but it was kind of weird. And I didn't really, I mean, I plugged it into my computer, but I haven't really used it for anything. The only thing that I can think of right off the top of my head would be some type of docking solution, which, you know, I don't have and probably wouldn't use that specific one anyways, given my love of Thunderbolt. And finally, there is the cost. This monitor costs near as makes no real difference. 1,500 smackarooskies. That's a lot of cheddar. And for that price, it isn't really worth it for me. I mean, to be clear, it is a fantastic monitor. But for the price, I can get two good 4K 27-inch monitors and still have half of the money left over for a graphics card that'll push them sweet, sweet pixels. You know, one you can get your hands on one. Maybe in 2030. And there are other monitors that do what I need for them much cheaper than this one without some of the growing pains that I've mentioned. So to that end, I'll be returning it for now with the expectation that I will rebuy a G9 or similar once they have the support worked out and it makes more sense. Or, you know, when this whole YouTube thing takes off and I have money to blow like that. So there you have it. That is my honest review on the Samsung Odyssey G9. And if you liked the video, then be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any future content like this. If you didn't like it, tell me why. Constructive criticism is always welcomed. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comment section below. I want to thank each and every one of you that watched. And remember, when the gears start turning, anything is possible. Bye!